This is LGR, London Greek Radio.
Κατέβασε τη δωρεάν εφαρμογή του London Greek Radio από το App Store για iOS και Google Play για Android και συντονίσου. London Greek Radio 103,3. Μας φέρνει πιο κοντά.
This is London Greek Radio. I'm Vasoula Christodoulou, and now we are going to talk about divorce. Yesterday, Monday, 5th January, marked what's become known in the UK as Divorce Day, the busiest day of the year for couples filing for divorce. New research shows that while Christmas doesn't usually cause breakups, it often acts as a pressure point, bringing long-standing issues to the surface. Joining us today to talk about this is Andrew Ormod, Senior Associate in Family Law at Slater and Gordon. We'll explore why so many people wait until after the holidays to make the difficult decision to separate, what the research reveals about trends and challenges, and where people can go for guidance and support. Good morning, Andrew. Thank you for joining us today. And can you explain why January 5th has earned the title Divorce Day?
So it's not always on January the 5th. Mm-hmm. It is the first working Monday of the new year, where typically we tend to see a spike in enquiries, and then over the years it's sort of grown into this thing where people refer to this particular day as Divorce Day. I mean, what we often find at Slater and Gordon is that it's not new clients coming and wanting to divorce on day one of the new year. What it is a lot of the time clients have come back to us, they've been to see us previously and got some general advice about the options that they have and how the land lies, and then they've got through this Christmas period and this has prompted them really to take that next step and start the process. And often, like the research showed, there's been quite a delay or a lot of time gone by whilst they've ruminated and thought about their options before they've taken this step. As you may have seen from the research that on average parties wait up to 2.5 years before actually taking that step of seeking advice and going down the road of formally separating and commencing divorce proceedings.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think it takes them that long, Andrew, to make the big decision? Because 2.5 years, it's a long time of someone's life to wait that long.
It is. It's a huge decision, and perhaps that's why people take their time over it. I mean, I think a lot of people will explore other options. They will give it another go, give it one more chance, maybe take that step several times. They might seek marriage guidance, marriage counselling, basically do whatever they can do to try and save the relationship before they come to the realisation that actually separation and divorce is the road that they feel they must now go down. But there may be other reasons as well. You know, people have children, and so they may be saying to each other or to themselves, well, look, I'll wait till the kids are a bit older, or if the kids are in high school, they'll wait till they've done the GCSEs, or they might even be saying to each other, well, let's wait till the children grow up and flee the nest, and then we'll think about where we're at in the relationship. And so all these different factors, I think, come into play, which contribute to people putting things off and kicking the can down the road, as it were. But whilst I suppose that those are the reasons and the justification for it, it's probably never a great idea to do that if you're not happy, because you're living that life, and as I say, you're kicking the can down the road. And a lot of the time, we have found that. Or we are told, and we see at the end of cases, that it appears like a weight is lifted from people. A weight is lifted off their shoulders, and they can finally start to get on with their lives. And so sometimes I suppose it's tinged with a little regret that they didn't start a bit sooner, this long process. Because it's not an overnight process. When you take such a draconian or huge decision, life-changing decision, there's lots and lots of things to think about, and as I say, it's not an overnight thing to start resolving all those issues in relation to the children and the family home and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like practical issues like money, as you said, shared property and children often make the process even more complicated. So how do these challenges affect couples when they finally decide to separate?
Well, in terms of there's lots of different things there that you pointed to. You've got the children, you've got property and finances. So the communication is key, as with everything. If parties are able to speak to each other, then that's the best way to start. Seeing what each party's position is, try and put the children at the forefront, try and keep the children at the forefront of each party's mind so that their interests come first. If parties are not able to talk about things and try and resolve them that way, then you've got mediation. And then obviously you've got legal advice and negotiations that can take place alongside that or in the background or even after parties have got round the table, as it were, in mediation to try and sort those things out. I think you mentioned a couple of moments ago the financial strain on people. We're just coming through a cost of living crisis, and I think that is a factor to take into account in all this. Probably contributes to the delay that we were talking about a moment ago, because people are struggling to make ends meet, and if you start dividing things by two, you're in a weaker position. You might have to think about new property to buy and things like that. So it's a complicated and huge sort of thing to think about,
Yes, I mean, even after separation, many couples, Andrew, remain entangled, like sharing homes or debts. What advice would you give to people navigating these complex situations?
Well, I think those parties who end up continuing to share a property for a while, and that could be because the property's going to be sold and you're waiting for it to be sold, or that they're just not in a position to move on. It's making sure that you are able to be amicable with each other, that particularly if there's children, that you're putting them first, because obviously it's going to be, it could be tricky dynamics to continue all living together under the same roof. I suppose, again, it comes back to taking early legal advice to see what your options are. And that doesn't mean that you have to start that process, but you can get some advice and guidance about the things that you need to be thinking about for the longer term, such as accommodation. So to get that early advice, then you can be thinking about what you need to be doing as time goes by to put yourself in a position whereby you'll be able to move on, or whether it's the other party moving on, whether that's looking at your borrowing capacity, looking at availability of other properties, the local market rent rates, or the value of property. Just there's so much to think about that the sooner you start setting the wheels in motion to do that, then better probably.
Your research also suggests that delaying a divorce often leads to regret. I mean, what advice would you give to someone who is unsure about taking the first step? Of course, the main, I think, it could be like legal advice. Maybe they are not sure, and about the security after the divorce, etc. But are there any other issues that they are considering apart from the financial? Yes.
Getting early advice is probably crucial, because you don't need to necessarily take any steps after that, but it could perhaps just help you see what your actual options are. I mean, when you talk about delay and the regret that comes with delay, as I said before, people often find that at the end of this process, a weight is lifted, and that's where the regret comes in. Insofar as they may say to themselves, "Well, I wish I'd done this sooner, because now I can get on with my life. We're all going to be go our separate ways," and that might lead to an improvement in the relations between the two parties, who, of course, perhaps in many cases still are parents of children, and therefore they're going to be involved in each other's lives for the foreseeable future. So if those relations can improve, which will hopefully be the case following the end of this process, then so much the better. And of course, the divorce process now is based on no fault. It's not the old rules where it's a blame game or long periods of separation. It's simply no fault. There's just a decision made that the marriage has broken down, and therefore one party proceeds to go down that road and make the divorce application.
Yeah, I think that helps. If it's not about proving whose fault is it, then I think it's later on better for them, better for the kids. And despite the challenges, many people report improved mental health, happiness, more time for themselves after the legal process is complete. What key message would you like listeners to take away from this research, Andrew?
I would just suggest think about the position that you're in. Think about how you are feeling and whether you want to sort of think. Go get some early legal advice and think about the ancillary issues, such as the children and putting them first,
exactly.
And you don't have to make an immediate decision, but the early advice is often crucial. And as I said before, people often do that, and then they come back to us after a catalyst such as the Christmas period to get further advice, or if necessary, take that first step.
And choosing a lawyer, Andrew, is like, I think, choosing a psychologist or choosing a doctor. What should someone look to, when he's looking for a lawyer? I mean, something that they will know they are in good hands.
Absolutely. Obviously, you want somebody experienced. You want somebody who's going to be empathetic, listen to what you've got to say, and in the first instance, probably listen to what those issues are, what the concerns are, and then start talking about what solutions could be, and what other help and support and guidance is out there to sit alongside the process that you're about to embark upon. But yeah.
So do you think a lawyer who is pushing, like, you have to do it now, as soon as someone goes to a lawyer, do you think it's a good sign? I mean, some people might find it encouraging, or someone might say, no, they shouldn't, it has to be the right time for you. You need to be 100% sure, because you have to face a huge challenge in front of you. So you need to be psychologically ready. What would you say about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always a good idea as well at the outset to check with parties whether there's, as we, I think, talked about earlier, have these thoughts about guidance, counselling, things like that. In terms of the approach to be taken, then a lot of family lawyers, most family lawyers, should or do subscribe to Resolution, which is an organisation where family lawyers subscribe to a certain way of doing things, a code of practice, which is to try and resolve cases in the most non-confrontational way as possible, put the children first, and so on and so forth. So if you are looking for a lawyer, you should also check whether they are Resolution accredited and focus solely on family law, because if so, then there is a certain way of doing things to try and, as I say, keep things as amicable as possible and put the children's interest first if there are children.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us today, for sharing these insights and practical advice. And to our listeners, if you are considering divorce or need guidance, it's important to seek support, whether through legal advice, counseling, or trusted friends and family. Thank you again for joining us today on London Greek Radio, Andrew.
Thank you very much for having me. You're welcome.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
This is LGR, London Greek Radio.
Ο αγαπημένος σου ελληνικός σταθμός στα social media. Ακολούθησέ μας στο Instagram και στο TikTok, βρες μας στο Twitter και κάνε like στη σελίδα μας στο Facebook London Greek Radio.